invocation and pledge of allegiance, please.
Lord God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the committee you have given us to call home. Lord, as help each and every one of us be good stewards of this community. Council, all the state staff before you, Lord, others, bless men and women who serve our community, Lord. Teach them the wisdom, courage, and understanding to what's right for the community. We pray.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to approval of tonight's agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve our agenda for tonight. Is there any further discussion?
I would like to remove item I from the consent agenda for discussion.
We have a motion.
Do we need a motion?
Do we need a motion?
I move to remove item I from consent agenda and, yeah.
Either way.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to amend the agenda by removing item I from the consent agenda and moving it under new business. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And we need the approval of the amended agenda now.
That was it.
No?
We just
That was it. We're good.
Voted on it?
Mhm.
Okay, we're good to go then. Okay. Presentations and proclamations.
Minutes for last
Minutes.
week.
Moving on down to new business.
Oh, we,
move to approve the minutes of the March 5th,
sorry.
2024 regular council meeting as presented.
second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the March 5th meeting. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay.
No,
Now we can go to new business.
Is there any public forum?
Oh, public forum. Is there anybody here from the public that would like to address the council on any item that's not on the agenda? Don't have anybody, so we'll close the public forum. Now moving on to new business. Lions Club.
Good evening. I'm Keith Harriman, Chairman of the Committee for the Lions Club Card Show. Just take a little bit of your time this evening. This is going to be our 18th annual car show. It's hard to believe that we've done that many, but this coming up, it'll be September 13th, Friday evening of this year. And again, it'll be our 18th annual. This is our largest fundraiser for the club, and a lot of the funds that we raise go back into this community. Our car show is extremely well liked and supported by the car community. To give you an idea, last year we had over 120 cars that showed up in the rain. So that's pretty dedicated. They love what we do, and they love what we provide for them. I'd like to take this moment to thank the city for your support of this show. I want you to know that the entrants that come to show their vehicles and the people that come to look and enjoy really enjoy the Main Street Valley Center. There's history there, and to have those old cars parked up and down that street, it's a pretty neat thing. Your embrace of our show has definitely made our show very successful. And again, I'd like to offer sincere thank you from the Lions Club for your support.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
Motion to approve closure of Main Street on September 13th for the Lions Club Car Show.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the closure of the streets, Main Street, Ash and Park. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, guys. Moving on to PBS Kansas.
Everyone, Mr. Mayor, and honorable members of the council, it's a pleasure to be back in front of you. To first say thank you for the support you provided your public television station over the last year. It makes a difference for your station. I want you to know that. It's a wonderful partnership that we have that also brings wonderful benefits to the city of Valley Center. For instance, if you go to the benefits in your packet that you have in front of you, it says page 16. You will see all of the wonderful benefits that the city will receive from PBS Kansas. Benefits that a company will spend thousands and thousands of dollars to obtain. Well, we're not in the business of making a profit. We're just trying to serve our community. And this partnership that we have, which has been a great one, has been outstanding and beneficial to all parties. You've seen wonderful documentaries, historic buildings of Kansas, Kansas ghost towns, Kansas from above, Kansas from above, another documentary, Kansas from above, cities and towns. I don't know if you saw this last one, but Valley Center was featured in it. And we have a clip of that that we'll be showing you briefly because it's about 6 minutes long. And I was warned that you don't have enough time to watch all that, okay? And again, I just chatted with the folks from the Lions Club, and they would like for us to work with them in promoting the event coming up in September. So, I took some notes and we'll pass it back on to our producers so we can help promote the event to make Valley Center a prosperous and growing community. And that's our goal for PBS Kansas, because it is your public television station, and we want to serve you to the best of our abilities with documentaries, local programs, and anything we can do to promote our partner cities. And so let me show you some of the benefits that you've received before we take questions from the partnership that we have. We'll begin first with this first one.
Sorry, just trying to turn up your mic. All right, here we go.
You're watching PBS Kansas Public Television, serving Valley Center. Discover Valley Center, happy people and a welcoming community.
That Valley Center.
A new place to call home in Sedgwick County, located in Finney, Wichita, Valley has what you're looking for with exciting options for recreation, a soon-to-be built aquatic and recreation center, and unique new neighborhoods to put down roots. Built just minutes west of I-135, the Arbor Valley, Prairie Lakes, and Cetera subdivisions all offer attractive single-family lots ranging in size from under half an acre to over 5 acres. More information is available online at valleycenterks.com. Valley Center has exceptional, safe schools and access to top quality recreational opportunities. Serving for 3,200 youth, the Valley Center School District has compassionate and dedicated educators who genuinely care about the success of their students. We offer 5 beautiful parks, each with unique features such as pickleball courts, accessible playgrounds, and water amenities. An expanding trail system also makes Valley Center one of the most walkable communities in Central. For information at valleycenterks.org.
Hello, I'm Jim Truman, Hunter, Valley Center. Valley Center is where you'll discover friendly people and a welcoming and growing community. Our city supports PBS Kansas, our public television station, which brings you the best in local programs such as Tap for People, Kansas Week, One-on-One, Positive Kids, and show your support by making a financial contribution today. PBS Kansas, serious and good TV. Thank you for your support.
All depending on how long you talk.
About 7 miles northwest of Kenai, Valley Center is another city with a bright future and an interesting history. And that history goes way back. Not far from where the town was later founded, representatives from the U.S. government and Native American tribes gathered to sign a treaty like Little Arkansas.
The tribes were brought in 1865 to sign a treaty to state that the tribes will move out of the path of white settlement.
None of the tribes involved actually lived in this area, but this was along a major trail and was seen as a convenient location for all parties to get together. It was just a few years later that John Carpenter arrived from Illinois. He was a wealthy and ambitious settler who had made a fortune in the California gold rush. Carpenter came to Kansas to find a good location to start a town.
What factor was the railroad came next?
With a railroad and the Little Arkansas River nearby, Carpenter planned and started developing his town on what had been unbroken prairie.
There were a lot of railroads that were set up here, civil ordinance, and they were actually criminal. If they got on it, built a house, and from it, they would put that land, but it was without cost.
Much of the original downtown from the 1880s still stands. In the evenings, a recently installed lighting system adorns the buildings with colors that change with the seasons. For much of its history, Valley Center has been a hub of commerce for nearby farmers.
Let's go on to about 3 different versions of the elevator. There were wooden elevators that they usually clad with metal. Over the house and have an elevator car, not like so many towns up here that we get out. So this is about the simple version of the elevator.
And when Wichita grew bigger, Valley Center came to be called this summer. It became a stop on the Ark Valley Interurban in 1910.
That was an important link that before automobiles were available.
The electric rail originated at the Brookview Channel in downtown Wichita. The track paralleled the Santa Fe Railroad from Madison. This road connecting Valley Center and Wichita is still named Interurban Street, marking where the tracks once were.
So people that worked in Wichita, they heard talk about traveling down to Wichita, and then they had to get on a streetcar to go to either the university or to the distance that they worked at.
Within a few years, the Interurban would extend north to Newton, Halstead, and Hutchinson, making for an easy trip to the state fair.
The guy figures that they carried up to 500,000 passengers in a year's time.
Improvements in roads, cars, and trucks eventually made the ABI obsolete, and it shut down in 1941. That was right about the time the local oil boom ended.
then we got pictures of, the ABI oil and oil out here. Oil was a big factor in this community in 1928 on through the 30s. I'd say it kind of beat down the problems that we had during the Dust Bowl days, the Depression days. There was all kinds of activity. There was up to 10 or 11 cafes that we operated some of them through the night to handle trade from the oil drillers that in and other people loading of the oil, in the oil.
But such boom was only until a well pumped to dry, where there were dozens of highly productive wells. There are just a few remaining pumps drawing whatever crude remains. The oil boom ended shortly before World War II began. In this town settled by a smaller, nationally recognized suburban school. Still close to the big city, but without the crime and congestion, Valley Center seems to offer the best of both worlds.
A brief by our.
They go a lot longer than I planned.
You did.
They
Thank
can
you.
also, donate, and how do they have access?
There you go. There you go. Thank you. And another fun thing that we do with Valley Center is the Valley Center night during our pledge drive. You all come and have a lot of fun answering phones, taking pledges, and that is also helpful to the station while promoting Valley Center. So, my friends, I'm here today again to renew this partnership. Interestingly, I must tell you that the city of Derby found out that you were providing us a certain amount, and they decided to top it by $1. I think Brent then decided he would propose topping Derby's by $1. I don't know where this is going, but thank you for your support, and we ask you and encourage you to please renew this support because it is very helpful to the station. It is this support that has your public television station growing and serving your interest as it is today. You could not find any other television station doing all the things that I've shown you this evening for what you give us. I mean, it will cost you thousands and thousands of dollars. But again, I'm saying to you, it's a partnership, and we're a nonprofit public television station serving our local interest. We don't take sides. We're not interested in politics. We cover local things and we present the national programs, the international programs that people enjoy. So thank you again for your support, and I ask you to please consider renewing your support.
Thank you, Victor. We have a question from Ron.
Yeah, there is one thing we left out.
Oh.
Thank you for your help with the recognition of the veterans program that you put on once a year.
Yeah.
And your words that it presented to veterans.
Thank you.
With that, I'll make a motion that to approve the city's partnership with Kansas in the amount of $5,002.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. We have some more discussion. Matt?
If this is approved, you might want to check the contract because the date's wrong. On the first paragraph, it's March 31st, 2005. Price should be 2025.
There, we'll fix that. Thank you. Okay. Dale, catching that.
What did we give them last year, Brent? Even 5?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Last year, we were still awaiting a few of the productions of the videos. And so actually last year, we took a year off from our contribution. So this year would be a renewal or for this year, 2024. In 2022, we did 5,000.
Okay. As far as our budget that we're going to start, that we already approved. No, I know we've already started, but what did we, in our line item for this year, what did we approve for that bucket, basically?
For the entire allocation or for PBS?
PBS and the entire, like, I know it's out of Mr. Schrack's budget, correct?
Yeah.
And I don't remember, we reduced it some amount, right?
20. Yeah.
20?
20,000 and 5,000 of this. Of course, out of that as well is the 10,000 Main Street, the 4,000. Oh, that's separate. Okay. Yep. Sorry. 20,000. But what does come out of this is our contribution for Fall Festival, which is pretty much our larger one that besides PBS.
So the Fall Fest and this come out of the same budget.
Yes.
And then our next line item for tonight comes out of the same budget. Are we going to be able to contribute the same amount as last year for both?
As in 2022 for PBS, yes. And for 2023 Mud Daubers, yes.
All right.
Is there any questions?
Public forum? Anybody from the public?
Do we have any questions or comments from the public? If not, we have a motion to approve. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to Kansas Collegiate Baseball Association. Sheldon.
Good evening, council. Everybody is having a good evening, and we're excited to be back here. For those of you that do not know me, I think I've met just about everybody up here, but my name is Sheldon Howell, president of Kansas Collegiate League Baseball, also president of your guys' Valley Center Mud Daubers. So going into year 8 this year, which is kind of crazy to say out loud, but we are super excited to being back and gearing up for baseball season. This is probably the first time that I've actually been able to come at this time of year, and we already have a full roster. So our recruiting efforts and just some of the things that we've been doing year after year have started to kind of pay dividends and show. So we are excited about that. Usually we're kind of short on players and working on trying to find the full roster at this point in time. So it's a little bit of breathing room for us. So we are excited about that. But just a couple of things, just kind of updates. Obviously, I've done this a few times with you guys, so I think most of you are familiar with the team. But we're, nonprofit baseball team that plays here in the summertime. We bring in guys, talented guys from all across the world to come and play baseball here in the summer. We'll play roughly about 42 to 45 games in a 2-month period, so it's a lot of baseball games in a short amount of time. The guys that come in, we strive to get them involved with our communities as much as humanly possible. One big thing that we do here in Valley Center that kind of sets Valley Center apart is our kids camp that we have here at the beginning of the summer. It's probably the most attended kids camp that we have. We work closely with the rec in inviting kids out to come to that. And we've kind of piggybacked off of that a little bit. Over the last 2 years, we kind of started doing this thing that we dubbed Practice with the Players. And it's been something that has grown over time. It took a little bit to get it off the ground, but we've started to see more teams, the local teams in the community, that will reach out to us and have their, youth organizations come out and practice with our guys. A lot of times they come out and they do just like pregame stuff with us, right? Just catch and throw and just the basics and foundational stuff of the game. But it's a lot of fun. We're able to give back to those little guys, not just the guys. We have the girls come out for the camp as well, too. We do softball stuff. Our guys don't throw softballs very often, but they try. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. And that's kind of our big thing is we're just, every single year we're trying to put that next step in front of us of getting involved with the communities as much as we can and doing anything that is possible, right? So obviously we come looking for financial support, but we also come, to have discussion with you guys to understand, what are things that we can do in the community if you guys have things that we can be involved with. I don't have all the guys here until we report, into May, right? So last couple days of May, and then we're here until the first weekend of August. So it's a quick time. But if there's community projects or things that you guys, have that we can get involved with, we want our guys to be involved. We have a lot of our guys that work here in the community, we had guys that help with the rec, help at the ball fields, help umpiring. So we try to get guys going out and doing things like that. Not all of them want to work, but the ones that do, we try to push them in the right directions. So, but if you guys have things going on, we would love to be involved. The more that we can get out in the community and do different things. We've got the Easter event that's coming up here pretty soon. So the big Easter egg hunt that they do at the library. So we do that every single year. And we just try to support the different events. So anything that we can do, we would like to. So I'm kind of an open book on that and easy to get a hold of in that sense. But really in the packet, going through everything, we just try to be as transparent as possible with all of our expenses and everything that we do on a yearly basis. As you guys can imagine, just about everything in this world is getting more expensive. So are our things. You'd be shocked at how expensive baseballs are. It makes me want to throw up sometimes. But so everything's kind of gone up a little bit. So we're just trying to be as competitive in that sense as possible. And then that kind of is why that we've asked for, the dollar amounts that we have. But again, we're happy with where we are. We appreciate everything that you guys do for us. I mean, we don't want that to come off the wrong way. We really do. But we do want to grow our partnership with you. We want to try being more involved in the community, and we're open to any types of suggestions with you. So with that, I can kind of open up to any questions or, anything that you guys might have or want to learn about the team. Happy to answer anything that you guys may have.
A few questions.
Yes, sir.
Last year you talked about doing a scrimmage with the high school team. Are you going to do that?
We offered. They didn't have enough bodies to be able to do it. So what I did with that is I found another team that was willing to at least try and bridge the gap a little bit. I think the hang up on that, and and this is just my opinion, I don't know, but I think the hang up is our goal is that we would like to donate any funds of that game back to the high school program, as like a give back and one of our give back nights. So when we were kind of trying to mix the two teams, I don't know if that really meshed well on their end, and then it never really came to fruition.
But you're going to try again this year.
Oh, 100%.
Okay.
I talked to Robertson. I have a few of his guys that we work with that I think will actually even be playing on the Mud Daubers this summer. So we had a couple that were kind of part-time guys in the summertime last year that would come and throw some innings for us and stuff. So we are trying to bridge that a little bit. There is, they're younger, so there's a little bit of a gap there, but it's good experience for them, and it's definitely the guys that are interested in playing college baseball. It's right where they should be. So we are trying to kind of, move towards that on a yearly basis for sure.
You kind of already answered the next question as far as how many Valley Center baseball kids do you have? How many did you have last year?
So last year we had 2 guys. This year, I think the same 2 guys that are still are coming to play with us. We may have one other guy as well. So 2 to 3.
How many kids are on your roster?
Typically, we try to average out roughly between that 28 and 30 mark. It changes every year, right? So like things update and things shift. Some years it ends up being less, some years it ends up being more. So it's just kind of a growing piece of that. But
And then the kids camp date, you're going to post that somewhere? Or do you have it already?
Yeah, we've already posted some, but we work with the rec on that. I was just at the rec's meeting where they did all the coaches meetings. So I talked to all the coaches that are in the community, which just a little plug for them. We appreciate those guys and gals that do that. It's very important for youth sports to have those volunteers. It's a big thing. So we try to go out and help them, but and that's in the rec department. We're really trying to get those coaches to bring those players out to what we do, not to like run a clinic for them or anything. Some of them don't want that, but just for the exposure, like just to show them like, hey, we want to help if you guys want to help. And we've had some coaches take us up on the offers that come out and do different things with us. Obviously, from the selfish standpoint, it helps us find more host families and help us find people around the community. So that's always a challenge for us. So if any of you guys are wanting to host, we'll always take you. But yeah, so I mean, we're working with them over there. Blake's awesome. It helps us get everything out and talk to people. So, yeah. Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Motion to, I'm trying to figure out the words. What's that?
last year it was 2,000, was donated the past 3 years.
Right. Whoa.
Yeah, and so, Councilmember, if you allow me to
Go
answer
for it.
kind of more elaboration, because our incredible Desiree Womack back there sent me our breakdown actually of what we had budgeted out of that 20,000. And so in that fund, this year we do have 800 for WABA, a home show that we've already achieved and accomplished. 2,000 for Mud Daubers, 5,000 for KPTS or PBS campus, 5,000 for Fall Fest, and then 7,200 for marketing that we had allocated. We've already spent some for that digital billboard, advertising our subdivisions, but we feel comfortable that we could adjust that marketing and have that 2,200 for the facility rental covered for the Mud Daubers this year. So going up $200, we can figure out where to squeeze that extra $202. It's $2 for PBS. Out of that budget somewhere.
Motion to donate $2,200 to Mud Daubers.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the $2,200 to the College Collegiate Baseball Association. Any further discussion?
I have one more question. Sheldon, you go next door and talk to them about the same thing about donating, right?
No.
No.
When we originally started, trying to remember who all was involved at that point in time, but it wasn't advised. That's the way that I would explain it. Doesn't mean that we couldn't, and I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody at this point in time. But
I'm just thinking it would be nice if they would donate the field, and then you could use this $2,200 another way.
yeah, I would definitely openly go and have that conversation.
Yeah. And Mr. Clark knows some people over there.
Well, and I will say too that might be a great conversation for the incoming new assistant superintendent. I do believe that was kind of a policy of not the current, but some previous leadership over kind of fee structures on facility rentals. I know even within their own PTOs, how they have to actually do some things have changed too. So that's something that I didn't even think of actually for this year. That it's a great idea, Councilmember.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Have a motion and a second. Anybody in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Sheldon. And we're moving on to Prairie Lakes. Award the bid for the Prairie Lakes Phase 4 project.
Good evening. Jake Basho at SEH. We had our bid letting last week on Prairie Lakes Phase 4. The low bid was McCullough Construction with the base bid of about $1.17 million for the base bid, which is asphalt pavement. Keep scrolling down there, Brent. There you go. So that's the low base bid. We did have some very close bids. The bottom three bids were within about $2,000 of each other, which I've never seen three bids that low, especially on this high of a $1.2 million project. Our original estimate and what we developed the original conditions for this development was around 1.4. So we are well under our estimates. And then we also had the alternate bid, which is concrete pavement, at also under the estimate at $1.277 million. So just about $100,000 concrete pavements. This develops about 42 single-family lots just off of Seneca Street. As you may know, this development, Prairie Lakes has one entrance. So this next phase actually creates its own entrance off of Seneca. It does not connect to the rest of Prairie Lakes. The reason for that is really fire protection. Working with the city and their zoning and all their regulations that we want to abide by, and safety of everyone for fire protection is to have one entrance and too many ones. So this phase is just off of Seneca to abide by that.
Dale?
Okay, thank you for the map. Because I was getting confused on what you were saying as far as this. So this is actually where we're going to be putting the roads. Okay. The rest of Prairie Lakes, is it asphalt or concrete?
The rest of Prairie Lakes that's built out now is all
Clear. And remind me the lifespan of concrete versus asphalt.
typically concrete's gonna last 30 years. It's got enough heat. Doesn't have much of enough heat other than
So this writing is really small on my. So a difference of about $100,000, we can get maybe 10 more years out of concrete. Is that, am I looking at that right?
I would say it's more than that, especially in a residential subdivision. With the traffic, if you look, a really good example of this is actually Valley Creek Estates and also Fiddler's Creek. So those are coming up right now on their 20-year mark, and they need to be milled and overlaid in some spots. And as you've seen the prices on our agenda here this evening, those concrete sections with minimal traffic, the trash trucks will be the heaviest thing on those, as well as the original construction. That's where our concerns are, that maintenance of it, because that doesn't account for all the crack sealing.
Why I'm asking the questions.
Yep, absolutely. The Fiddler's Creek, I know all the crack sealing that's been done since I've been here is an almost annual occurrence on some of those joints that are really separated out. And so, it's probably more than 10 years in my mind. And I don't know about Mr. Engels.
Next question, follow-up is for budgetary. This would be there's special assessments.
And so we would cover, the city would cover the additional $100,000 in our debt service mill levy as a general obligation debt service mill levy that we levy towards our debt as a city.
And is that something we can handle budgetarily?
And we actually have Clayton and also Garth.
I saw that.
I know they're not here to talk about this project, but have had conversations with Clayton on covering that. They said absolutely. The price save us significant dollars. That's a long.
I'm just thinking the long term. Yes. Thank
100,000 is not much.
Yeah.
Technical question, Jake. Does the rock basin geogrid still go underneath the concrete, just like asphalt? Okay. I figured it did, but in Derby, we don't do concrete streets. It's all asphalt, so I didn't know the specs. Okay.
Your standard specifications all for that.
I make a motion to accept and award the bid from McCullough Construction for Prairie Lakes Phase 4 in the amount of $1,277,594.90.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and we have a little more discussion. Ben?
This might be for Rodney. For this length of, and this is just kind of a follow-up on what Dale was asking, on the length of the road that we're putting in, what would a typical mill and overlay cost approximately? Do you know? I know you've been working with some of those figures. If we did this in asphalt and had to mill and overlay, are we going to recoup that $100,000 just in that cost? Would we be able to recoup the $100,000 difference that we're paying for concrete?
It's going to be tough to say because as you can see in our recent bids that we have for mill and overlay now, we're looking at like $16 a square yard right now, mill and overlay, but that's been up probably $3 a square yard in the past 4 years. So the price of fuel, the price of asphalt, it's going to be tough to say.
In your professional opinion, is it smarter to do the concrete though, to not have to worry about mill and overlay in this area and for the inconvenience to the homeowners when it has to be done.
It all depends on whether you care.
Okay. I think it's cheaper to do it. I mean, it costs more up front, but it's cheaper in the long run, in my opinion. And especially as Brent was saying with the traffic, it's not a main artery, so you're not seeing the traffic you're going to see on an artery. So the concrete's going to last longer.
Well, just for, just for perspective. So from this stretch, the road that we just did an asphalt, section in Prairie Lakes, what we have set aside to do a mill and overlay is how much, Jake?
Okay. That, I guess I could ask Jake. That was kind of what I was getting at. So.
Dale?
Also, the difference between asphalt and concrete, especially in residential area, and changing directions.
Timeline, will this change the timeline any by doing concrete? But like 5 days to cure or something like that, or longer? Okay.
Matt?
Oh, I didn't hear about it before. Have you thought about doing roller compacted concrete?
We did authorize that.
Well,
Can you explain why that 100,000 can't be added into the specials? Is there something like an ordinance or?
It's just, it comes down to how much the developer wants to go.
Okay.
So if the developer wants to, then they absolutely can take that and spread over the specials. If they don't, then we'll go with the low bid and have asphalt. And then once the developer's done building out these roads and, the specials are being paid by the homeowners and the maintenance comes around, then it's on the rest of the citizens of Valley Center to cover that cost. So, I mean, it's give and take. Up front, I'm going to tell you, developers will go with the lowest cost possible to help their bottom line.
Yeah, we did have a motion and a second, right? Yeah. All in favor to approve the award to bid to Prairie Lakes Phase 4? By raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the approval of professional service agreement.
Yeah, this is for our construction services agreement. Samantha agreed this year, and she manages the construction side for us. This is for us on site managing testing, making sure the contractor.
Any questions? Motion. Dale.
As far as how we're paying for this, Mr. Clark, is it?
This is right.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed to hear.
Motion to approve agreement with SEH for construction administration, on-site inspections and material and testing in the amount not to exceed 130,000 and authorize mayor or city administrator to sign.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the agreement for professional services. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to resolution 749-24.
Good evening. I see you guys all again. Clayton Kelly with Piper Sandler. We're financial advisor for the city. So this is in regards to similar action item that we approved at the last meeting I was here at. But this relates to allowing for financing for Cedar Ridge, Arbor Valley, Ford Street projects in the fire trucks. You may recall those projects were initially funded with temporary notes. So this essentially allows you to move forward with permanent financing, I believe 20-year bond financing. So it just allows us to get all the documents ready to move forward. You'll see that there's some redemption amounts from temporary notes. That's just related to those projects, prior projects that I mentioned, and then allowing for that permanent financing closing in May. So I believe we have April 16th as the sale date. Based on current market conditions for a 20-year financing for a credit of your city, I would say about 3.75% is what we're seeing in the current market right now. So it's improved quite a bit from where we were even 6 months ago. We're hopeful that it continues to improve, but you just never know where interest rates are going. Really unique environment right now where short-term interest rates are really near the 5% range. But for a 20-year financing, we're looking at less than 4%. So again, a unique environment, but so tonight just allows you in the city to move forward with that permanent financing.
Questions? Motion to approve.
I make a motion to adopt resolution 749-24 authorizing the offering for sale of general obligation bond series 2024-1 of the city of Valley Center, Kansas.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the resolution 749-24. Further discussion, all in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Thank you.
Yeah. 2024 comprehensive plan presentations.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council. With us this evening, we have representatives from SCH and Foster Design Associates. In reference to the original comprehensive plan RFP, which you approved earlier this year, we had the proposals submitted and through a selection process have selected these two firms as finalist firms to make presentations tonight. So again, I will turn it over to representatives from Foster Design Associates and then have SEH follow after them. The rules for this evening are as follows. Each firm has been informed that they have up to 20 minutes to share their presentation with you as council. And then following the end of that 20 minutes, should they use the full allocated amount of time, then we'll open it up for questions between you as council and the firms. After both firms have presented, on the bench this evening, you do have a score sheet. This lists the criteria in which we're grading these two firms. And so I ask that you submit these score sheets to my office by this Friday. So you can either email it to me or drop it off, whatever the case is. But again, if you will follow these criteria do have the listed number of points, total points for each section. And so I would ask that you fill that out and then submit that to my office. Once we have tabulated the scores, we will contact the firm that scores the highest and work on drafting a contract then to present to you as council at the next city council meeting on April 2nd. Also at the April 2nd meeting, we will also present the slate of committee members to serve on the steering committee that will work in close conjunction with the selected firm on drafting the new 10-year comprehensive plan. So before I turn it over to Foster Design Associates, are there any questions of me?
Yeah.
Is this presentation any different than the one you emailed us earlier?
So what I emailed you earlier was their proposal in response to the RFP. The proposal and the presentation do go hand in hand, but they are a little different.
When I downloaded my PDF, for some reason the presentations didn't show up. Now they're there.
Okay.
So I thought you sent that to us today and we hadn't seen it yet.
What I sent to you was the proposal that we used in scoring initially to get to the finalist level. A lot of the information, yes, is the same, but it is different. It is their formal proposal in response to the RFP. Great, thank you.
All right, good evening, and I'm very much appreciative of the chance to do this interview. My name is Deborah Foster. I'm here tonight representing Foster Design Associates, LLC. We're a landscape architecture and planning firm out of the city of Wichita. My name is Deborah Foster. My boss's name is David Foster. Just to clarify, because everybody asks, no, we're not related. I just work for him. He could not be here tonight and apologizes, but he had a previous engagement. He's actually down in Winfield doing a planning training session for their planning commission. So both of us, between us, have 30 years of experience doing exactly these kind of plans for small communities, middle-sized cities in Kansas. And one of the things I think is important to mention is that both of us have served on the Wichita-Sedgwick County Planning Commission. David for 12 years, I've been on for 3 years now. And that gives us the practical on-the-ground experience of knowing how a comprehensive plan works with your zoning regulations and your subdivision regulations to actually affect the future of the development in Valley Center. So we know that it's important to make sure all those documents coordinate with each other. We do a wide variety of planning services, including comprehensive plans. One of the things we strive to do and enjoy doing is developing long-term relationships with cities that we work for. So for instance, a couple of years ago, we did a comprehensive plan for the city of Kingman and a park system master plan for them. Then we went back a year later and did the construction drawings for 2 parks. And currently we're working on phase 2 of the second park. So that sort of long-term relationship is something we highly value with our clients. I'm sure you all know the basic goals of a comprehensive plan, but we always like to emphasize the advantages. They're broad, they're long range. You're doing a 10-year plan as opposed to often we do 20-year plans. 20 years is about the maximum you can reasonably predict resources and changes in population and so forth for communities of the size we work with. But Valley Center is changing rapidly, and that means you need to have a shorter term plan that can focus in on the great deal of change that's going to happen over the next 10 years for you. It's an official document, but it's not a regulatory document. If you don't do what the comprehensive plan says, nobody is going to come in and arrest you. But it is a guideline, and it's intended to guide the community's leadership for the next 10 years on policy decisions that will affect your development. So it also has some legal implications. If you make a comprehensive plan that has a land use plan as part of it, which they do, and you at some future point the city is sued for a zoning decision or a subdivision decision you all make, if that decision is based in the comprehensive plan and the comprehensive plan supports it, the law says that that is legally defensible. It's considered reasonable and therefore defensible, and it gives your city attorneys something to use. It's also a requirement in order to have subdivision regulations under our state statutes. And it's often a prerequisite for grant proposals. And with all the development that you as a city are contemplating over the next 10 years, I would assume that any extra step up on grant proposals that you can achieve is an admirable idea. This is the general design of what goes into a plan. Community input, that's the public input factor. And to us, the main thing we're looking for when we talk to the public is the goals, the community wishes and desires and issues that need to be addressed. We also do a huge amount of research for baseline data. Most of that comes from the census, some from other sources, FEMA, whoever has the best data and the most recent data is who we go to. The systems and facilities analysis, we depend heavily on city staff to give us the data we need to know where those things are going. And all of it goes into a document that we want to be a useful tool for city leaders, starting with the Planning Commission and the City Council, to be able to use to actually make decisions that affect development. So all the data isn't enough in and of itself if it's all just a bunch of bullet points. We do a lot of analysis and try to keep it plain English, simple, straightforward, but an effective analysis that makes it an easier document for someone coming in as a new member of the Planning Commission or the City Council to read over and really get an overview of where the city is and where it's going. The land use plan is a critical part. Again, that's part of the legal reasonableness thing, but it's composed of an existing land use analysis and then a future land use plan that, again, can be very important if there's ever any challenges to your zoning or subdivision decisions. Shall be presumed to be reasonable is the legal phrase. This is a sample future land use map color coded for residential, commercial, public, and so forth. Community planning goals. Not only the physical needs, what, additional fire station you may need or whatever, but also social, economic, and governmental needs. And all of them aimed to help you frame policies and focus your decision-making processes. We want to encourage people to have goals that are reasonable and rational, but they also have to be ambitious to a point. Sitting on your laurels and not doing anything is really not a very good prospect for future success. This is the kind of table we generally try to put in our plans. We didn't always do this, but we found that incorporating goals throughout the plan in various places, they may or may not be useful when it comes time to trying to figure out what you're going to do this month or this year. So all the goals in the plan are tabulated, categorized, and prioritized short, mid, and long term over the 10-year period. Makes it easy to just go down the checklist and say, okay, here are the things we want to focus on this year to get done. And it makes it more likely that the goals expressed in the comprehensive plan actually get achieved. This is the typical table of contents. All the various data points are in there, but I think the chapter on regulatory tools gives you some information about tools you may already have in place, but also other tools that you may not be using. For instance, I don't think you're using extraterritorial jurisdiction yet, though you do have subdivision outside the city. I'm not quite sure how that works. Is it? Okay. All right. Anyway, we give you an overview of all the administrative tools that are available to a planning commission and a city council. Resources, grant sources, information sources, it's all done with active links, so you can put this up on your city website or read it on your computer or tablet, click on a link and go to the source of the information very easily and quickly. Plan implementation, doesn't do you any good to have a plan if it sits on a shelf gathering dust. So we will try and give you a step-by-step method for implementing the plan and making sure it gets used. The planning process is very circular, it's not linear. The data collection and analysis and the community engagement tend to play off each other. As we talk to people in the community, we find out more things we need to go get data on and analyze, and vice versa. That all affects the document production and maps. And then the final step is always the public review and adoption of the plan. And we will, as part of our services, we provide all the documents that you need to get the planning commission adoption and the city council approval to follow the statutory requirements and make sure this is a valid, legally adopted plan when you're finished with the process. We always build on previous planning efforts, so we will absolutely use your existing comprehensive plan as baseline data to start with. We work very hard to get our facts straight. The census data, for instance, we will not go back to the 2020 data. Mostly there are a few data points that we will have to use, but mostly we use the American Community Survey 5-year estimates, which are the Census Bureau system that replaced the long form, if any of you remember filling out a long form census. It's more current data on a smaller sample, but it gives us the latest available information on the city. FEMA floodplain maps and so forth, all of that is the latest that GIS can provide us. One of the things we always emphasize is the importance of quality of life. It's very hard to measure for people who like metrics for everything. But if you ask somebody what they think of their personal quality of life, you will almost always get a very firm answer. They have an opinion. And we have found that investing in quality of life is an investment in success for communities. It is not just making the people who live here happier, and these are all the factors that can affect quality of life, but it makes communities a more successful economic competitor. So we really think it's an important factor to keep in mind throughout the whole development of your comp plan. These are the questions that we ask you and planning commission members and staff and people on the steering committee. Why do you want to live here? Why are you staying? Are you planning to leave? If so, why? Getting the answers to those questions helps us form the goals that are the heart and soul of comprehensive plan. Where are we now? Where do we want to be 10 years from now? How do we get there? Those are the questions we need to answer in the process. So community facilities and services will be addressed. The idea is to balance needs and resources, and the future land use plan will help develop balanced and compatible land uses. This is our proposed 8-month schedule to get the job done. This was in the proposal we gave you. This is doable. We often do plans for some bigger cities that go a full year, but we think that we can manage this, assuming you all are willing to have meetings during the holiday season. That's going to be the hang up when we get near the end of this. Anyway, thank you. Are there any questions? While frantically writing down scores. This here.
Robert?
So, Ms. Foster, tell me what's going to differentiate you from what Mr. Voss is going to present with SEH.
Well, I don't know what he's going to present, so that's a little difficult to answer. But
what differentiates you from what they do?
We're a small firm, and this is what we do. We've been doing it for 30 years, and I think that's actually an advantage. We develop the personal relationships with the people we're working with to develop this plan. We truly believe in the concept of public input, and I should probably say this, not by doing a whole bunch of public meetings. We've discovered over the years that they tend to get very repetitive after the first few. So we will recommend that there only be 2 public meetings, one early in the process where we will be picking people's brains for ideas and issues, and one later in the process when we have like a 90% document for them to look at and review and respond to. And the rest of the input will be from the steering committee, which works with us through the entire process and therefore has a better handle on what's already been said. And also we will do things like ask for a short list of maybe 6 or 8 local movers and shakers, people who are involved in the community, maybe somebody with a local church, maybe a coach, maybe a teacher, and ask to do phone interviews with them for 20 minutes, though they often go on longer for that, and just basically say, tell us what you think needs to be done to make Valley Center better. Those sorts of more one-on-one contacts we have found are more effective at getting goals that actually work for the community in the long run than the big open meetings all the time. So I don't know if you approve of that aspect or not, but that's what we would usually recommend. We've done both ways, but that's what these days we prefer to do. I don't know if that makes me different from them or not.
I appreciate your answer. I was part of the comprehensive plan 10 years ago with that other firm. So I'm just looking to see how it's going to differentiate from what we used back then.
I think that's honestly the main thing is the very direct contact with people. We found that that's more effective at deriving the goals. And again, we really do believe that the goals, community goals, are the heart and soul of a comp plan. That's where you want to be 10 years from now. You have to have them defined in a way that you can do the step-by-step tasks to get there, or this plan is just a chunk of paper sitting on a shelf.
Thank you.
Yes. What specific cities and towns in our area have you done comprehensive plans for?
Oh my goodness. There's a list of about 30 in the last 2 years. We've done Kingman, the comp plan, and the park system master plan. As of 2 months ago, I was trying to finish up Bentley. We'd done Burton a couple years early. Bentley. I just finished Abilene less than a month ago. We did Clearwater. That was 2 years ago. As I said, we're a small firm. We don't do more than 3 of these a year, preferably. My life gets extremely busy if we're trying to do more than that. I personally prefer 2 a year. And right now, like I said, we've just finished 3. So I'm hoping that we can work with Valley Center. Our firm did a lot of work with Valley Center in earlier years. We've been involved in your subdivision regulations and your zoning regulations. Bickley Foster, who you may remember was David's dad, my boss's dad. So we have a lot of background information in our heads on the city. We worked with Valley Center a long time and know and appreciate its advantages.
Just a follow-up question. How many do you have lined up so far for the near future?
Right now, we are in it. Like I said, we just finished 3 out of 3, and we're proposing on 3. This is the first one we've done an interview for. So right now, we're not doing any, actually.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. I had a question for you. Besides the in-person meetings, how do you, what are the different ways you get feedback or survey the citizens? Do you use social media? Do you send out a mailer? What types have you used on your other projects?
We typically do the interviews. We do a couple of public meetings. We do a survey, and the community survey, how it gets distributed and how it gets analyzed very much depends on how the city wants to work it. We've had communities who even now still want to do a hard copy. Most of the communities we've worked with recently do a combination because there are some people who won't fill it out if it's on a digital format, and there are other people who won't fill it out if it's a hard copy survey. Kingman, I think, was our most delightful success. I think they had a return rate of something like 15 or 18%, which we thought was pretty darn good for the whole population of the city. And they did a combination of a digital survey, basically a fillable PDF of the hard copy document that was mounted on the city website, so anybody could download it, fill it out online, and return it. They provided the hard copies at places. We try to get 4 or 5 local places that people go to a lot, like the bank or the grocery store, or have some in the library or city hall, to just have a box full of them that people can pick up. And then we did a phone survey, a Google phone survey for the high school students whose input we also wanted very much. Wanted to know what they thought about the city and whether they intended to stay or move away. And for them, discovered that you had to get it down to 2 or 3 questions, 1 question at a time, and then give them a week to get over the strain, and then give them another question, because their interest in doing surveys is only if it's a really fast survey. The data is not statistically significant analysis. We don't claim that it is. The most important part, honestly, is getting getting the ideas, getting the little gems of information about things that need to be fixed or things that could be better that we pull out of the responses we get. So there are a lot of open-ended questions typically, but the questions are the important part. Defining your questions so you get information that's actually useful to you on the city council. You can ask all kinds of questions about, what do you like about Valley Center? And you'll get all kinds of answers, but none of them will likely be of much actual practical use to you. Whereas if there's something specific, in this park, should we put another baseball diamond or should we put a splash pad? Then you'll get a statistically significant response. But defining the questions is a big part of the first task of the steering committee and you and the planning commission.
Thank you.
You have, on your paper, you have yourself and the owner. How many more people are in your team?
There's just 4. We're a very small firm.
So you,
But David and I are the 2 that do the comprehensive plans.
okay, that's all I have.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, good evening again. We're still Jake Basho with SEH. So happy to be presenting on a more exciting topic than just bid tabs. So comprehensive plans, awesome. So a little bit about SEH and our company, just to kind of refresh everyone's memory. We're a company of over 900 people. Our corporate office is in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm sure, it's my bad. Our corporate office is in St. Paul, Minnesota. We are mostly an engineering company. We have architects, obviously planners, graphics folks, all kinds of different specialists in different areas, and obviously civil engineers, which is what I am. So I've been involved in a few comprehensive plans, once on the city side as a city engineer for the city of Seward while we were going through our comprehensive plan a few years ago. But in general, SEH, what we think we bring is a creative, multidisciplinary team with vast resources and a new perspective for Valley Center. So I'm going to click through. Here's our team. Nancy Dosdall is our lead planner for this project. Obviously, I'm on there as civil engineer. We do involve civil engineers on our comprehensive plans, things like traffic, utilities, things like that. Obviously, with engineers being involved, we can give kind of that technical perspective. Damon Suklis is kind of our community development specialist in finance. So he does a lot of great things with rate studies and looking at finances and things that need to be in the comp plan. Mark Nolan, another lead planner for us, a lot of multimodal transportation planning, and Molly Wagner's on the landscape architect side for our team. And then here's just kind of an org chart for our team. Again, Nancy's kind of the main point of contact for this, she being a planner. But as you know, I'm in town quite a bit, and we have a lot going on here in Valley Center. And that's one thing I also wanted to bring up is, we've been working in the Wichita area and Valley Center the last 3 years, and we've developed plans and designed over 350 acres of development in Valley Center over the last 3 years. So we bring a lot of knowledge and perspective of different areas, but also have a lot of experience in Valley Center specifically. So there are a lot of graphics in this presentation. I will kind of click through quickly. So a few things I'm going to talk about is the comprehensive plan. That's the actual planning process, the engagement, public engagement, and then the draft plan, the actual document, what's in that and what we want it to look like in life. So the engagement piece I'm going to talk about, just throwing out some examples of some engagement activities we would like to suggest to you and Ryan and his team as we would kind of get going. So here's an engagement opportunity where we just kind of had a pop-up engagement along a trail in a community. With all engagement, we want diversity. So there's all these different areas of the population. We want to make sure that we get a good engagement from all these different areas and make it a very diverse public engagement and make sure we're reaching all these different areas with our engagement so that our plan is complete and aren't missing any perspectives. So here's a pop-up planning engagement. This is something we could do, for example, at Fall Festival or Farmers Market, where we just have a booth and we show what we're developing with our comprehensive plan as far as questions we want to ask, survey, and then obviously everyone's interested in the land use plan, where are things going, what's the future look like here in Valley Center. So that's an example of one of those. Here's an engagement piece where we went to the largest employer in the city and kind of met with them and got their perspective on the comprehensive plan. This is an engagement where we went to a local coffee shop and kind of got engagement and met folks there. Sometimes those situations are a little bit more comfortable than coming to City Hall and having a public meeting and things like that. Engagement at high school, this is with the high school students, where went there, asked them questions, got their perspectives. This is the same high school, but also the teachers, getting their perspective. A lot of them likely would live here in town, and you know, I've had them on a couple of steering committees, and they're very good. And in general, the public sees them as being knowledgeable and educational, so getting their input is always great. Here's one that I think is pretty cool. This is a wiki map, an online interactive map that we did for New Ulm. And this is something that the public can get to, and they can kind of put in their own data. So you see those green plus marks, those are areas of good places is what they are labeled as, or an asset to the city. And then the red marks are areas that maybe are a problem area, or there's an actual issue. The blue ones are, you know, areas where, let's see, a place for more investment. And then star areas are places of importance. And then you kind of see that purple line there. That's where people can draw interactively on the online map of, we'd like a bike route between these two places, or a sidewalk, walking path, whatever it is. So it kind of allows the public that may not be able to engage in some of those activities to really give a lot of good information graphically and on a map, which is what I enjoy, and that's what I always look at. So I think that's a really good option for us here for engagement. And then obviously, so we've showed examples of online and in person. So both of those kind of have to work together to meet all the different areas and be a diverse engagement, kind of like we spoke about previously. So the comprehensive plan, the actual planning process, that looks something like this. So the public engagement, top left, that's kind of what we start with. Technical evaluation, I get involved and we look at the different ideas that we've got and see if they're technically sound. We develop a draft vision and plan, and then we reach back out and say, okay, here's some of the things that we have heard, and here's some ideas that we've gotten from that. And it's kind of a back and forth process a little bit. And then we develop the implementation plan, and that goes into part of the successful comp plan. So it really is a community vision is what the document is. Here's some examples of what a comp plan that we've done recently. Some of the more recent comp plans we've done have been a little less bureaucratic, a little less, a lot of text, a lot more visual documents with pictures and infographics that convey the same information but in a different way that's attractive to folks. People can understand information a little more quickly than just a written document. But also educational, easy to read. We want this to reach the general public, not just something that developers look at, because that's what they do, and people around the city, but something that the public is engaged with, and for good reason, because it's an attractive document that you can find things easily, and it's very graphical. And obviously it's a reference for future decisions. Here's an artistic rendering of some graphics that we've done for a recent comp plan. Here's one that this portion of the comp plan, I think we bring a unique perspective to as the housing portion. So a couple examples here up on the slides: housing in downtown, and then missing middle housing. Missing middle housing is, if you don't know or aren't aware is kind of the housing that's all in between a single family home and a mid-rise apartment, which a lot of recent housing studies have brought that, we need more of this. That's the duplex, triplex, fourplex, all the way up to sixplex, your cottages, your live work spaces. So personally, I've done 3 of these types of developments, and they're pretty rare. So I do bring that unique perspective of having done these and kind of bringing that to the table for Valley Center to set you up for if this is a good option for you in Valley Center and planning for it, where it goes, and having the regulations in line to make it happen if that's where the city wants to go. This is another artist rendering. This was of a corridor for a comp plan. Again, we want this to be visually attractive to the public, and we want to put these images out there. That's what generates a lot of conversation. People see something like this and they go, "Oh, that's nice," or "I don't like that," or the images a lot of times will bring out a lot of the input and engagement that we're looking for. So that's what we want to generate with this document. And it's also a marketing tool for your community. A lot of developers look at comp plans. One of the very first things they will look at is your comp plan, as well as floodplain and things like that. But so you want this to be a marketing document. We want to be able to use the images that we're going to generate to market. Brent's going to put them all on TikTok. I just know it. So again, that's the kind of document we want to create. Here's some items, issues that we want to consider, and this is typical of all comp plans: land use, transportation, infrastructure, all things I'm very interested in and can help with. And then the community portion, walkable neighborhoods, diversity, economic development, and obviously you spoke about housing as well. And then here's just kind of some of the same items, just in more layers and more elements that we need to cover in the comp plan, and done in a very graphical way. And there's an example of how land use works with the built environment, demographics. So just a few examples. We're going to use aerial imagery for current and future land use. We're going to use some images like this to put in the plan to get people talking about. That was an economic development. Here's a transportation centered rendering, similar to the previous artistry one, but just multimodal. Is that something we want around here? The next large project or large corridor we want to consider for future recreational opportunities. Again, just very graphical and imagery document that's going to help create a lot of engagement from the public and be a document that you can be proud of. A lot of inputs: the previous comp plan, housing study, previous trail study, zoning, all those different documents that are already generated. Obviously, we use those moving forward. And kind of as a baseline, here's your current future land use. And I know you guys have the land use on GIS as well, but this is kind of the most accessible document. We want to make the future land use, update this and obviously make it accessible to everybody as well. And then here's our implementation plan table. So the implementation plan is kind of where we shine on the planning side, is making these implementation plans very, very workable and very real, actionable items. A lot of our planners don't do comp plans all the time. They are involved in corridor studies that lead to projects that are very specific. So our expertise is not just the planning, and we never see it happen. Obviously, we have engineers and architects. We're going to make all these implementations happen, and we can, we have the staff to help generate the plan. And then here's just a few examples of other components that we've done in the past. And just summing up, SEH is a pretty large company compared to Foster, but we bring engineers, we bring architects, a multidisciplinary team with vast resources and a new perspective. I will open for questions. I'm not sure where we're at. Okay, great.
Yeah. How many cities have you done a comprehensive plan for in Kansas?
In Kansas, none.
And how many in like Nebraska or
So the majority of our planning comp plans have been in Wisconsin and Minnesota. We've done over 50 in the last 12 years.
50 in how many?
50
In how many years?
in the last 12 years.
12 years, okay. On comparable sized cities?
Yes. So mostly small cities and medium-sized cities. Not a lot of Minneapolis or St. Paul, that size.
Robert?
I think both presentations were done very, very well. I want to give you both that. Then I'm going to ask you the same question, Mr. Vossel. What's going to differentiate yours from what Foster Design is going to bring to us?
Sure. Yeah, I think we have a vast amount of resources to us. We have over 30 planners available to us. So your schedule that you want to meet is fairly aggressive in 8 months, and we can certainly meet that. Obviously, we want to work with your team about the engagement piece. That's typically the critical path for a lot of these comp plans is the engagement piece that, for example, if we want to create that interactive map, wiki page, that takes time. And so that might be the thing that takes the longest, and we have to implement that first. But certainly, there are two very different companies. We're a very large company with a lot of planning expertise in other states, and we bring that new perspective.
Just a side note, I'm sure Councilmember Crookstetter's scorecard went dramatically this way when you mentioned middle housing. So just letting you know. So.
A lot of expertise in housing, so different areas.
You're gonna have to pick those scores up somewhere else.
Okay, fair enough.
Dale?
I think somebody else had it first.
Well, okay. Clint?
So being your headquarters are so far away, and I'm assuming many of these employees that you talked about are not local. Do you foresee any challenges being so far away? And if so, how are you going to overcome those challenges?
Sure. So a little bit, that's a loaded question. Obviously. So our company, when COVID hit and we all went home, we started using Microsoft Teams like crazy. And we saved a lot of money that year internally. And a lot of folks didn't want to come back to work. So we are a work from anywhere company now. We have a lot of folks that work for us in different states where they don't work at all. For example, Miles Jensen, who Brent knows and met, he lives in Arizona, still works on projects in Minnesota and still works on projects in Virginia. So it's honestly the norm for us. The public engagement piece, I'm down here a lot. Samantha's local. So we're going to use staff that are local or around the area as much as possible. But if you think about how many trips and how many meetings, it doesn't add up to that much travel. And our team, obviously, we're committed to the travel when we consider a project like this. So to be honest, it's become the norm for us to do projects away from where we live with teams. I would imagine we would want to propose virtual meetings where necessary, or where you want to reduce the budget a little bit, so that has become the norm for us.
Completely understand that. I work remotely, so completely understand
Yeah. This might be a question for Mr. Schrack or Mr. Clark. So you're off the hook for it right now. This is a request for proposal, correct? Can we ask budget at this time, Mr. Clark? Or is that a no? So, and then while you're thinking about that, my next question is, how are we going to pay for this whenever we decide?
Yes. And so, Mr. Shark, do you want to explain kind of what you have budgeted?
Yeah. So as part of the approved 2024 budget was the adoption of a new comprehensive plan.
Okay.
So that has been budgeted for 2024. Now, as I stated before the presentations, however the scores come back, we will contact that firm and enter negotiations, and then hopefully be able to present a contract ready for approval. What that looks like is going to be up to negotiations between city staff and the firm and the firm that we'd like to go with, you as council. So again, that's open for negotiation and then presentation at the next city council meeting.
Remind me how much was budgeted. Okay, don't, email me that.
I will.
I will email that to you, yes.
It's public information though, so they could find it.
Correct.
If they're good at their planning.
That is correct, yes. But again, yeah, so we will enter in negotiations and then present a draft contract, hopefully at the next city council meeting.
Okay.
That is our plan. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we thank you both. Thank you. Questions, so thank you both.
I'm in here. I will, hold on. Barry, do you allow me 1 second?
Piece of paper.
Still in full transparency. And so right now, what we're looking at is the SEH proposal was $107,440 is what was proposed. The Foster Design Associates was a range between $23,770 to $27,085. Any questions on that?
I have one for you.
Thank you.
What did we pay the last time we did our comprehensive plan?
That is something that we would have to research for
Okay.
you, and
I'd
bring that
it's been 10
information.
years and I don't
It's
remember, but
been a few-
I would like to know what it was.
Yeah. But it's definitely something that we can email out to you
Okay.
as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the award to roadway services contract, Rodney?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So before you in my letter there, we did receive 2 bids for the roadway services RFP, and we had both bids came in over budget. I believe we underestimated the cost of the full reconstruct with the chip seal and the base. I think that was where the most underestimated came from. So it was most logical to take out the slurry seal. That brought us within our budget. We did negotiate a price with the lowest bidder at that point in time. With the slurry seal taken out. With that, barring any questions, staff is recommending the award of the negotiated proposal for the 2024 roadway services for the selected street segments from Pearson Construction in the amount of $480,628.
Robert?
With the removal of that, Rodney, how far does that put us behind? I mean, on slurry, where that means some roads are not going to get taken.
Yeah, so generally, and maybe I should have brought that with me. I did do some research. Generally, on a slurry seal, you're gonna come back and you're gonna seal coat a road anywhere from 3 to 5 years after it's done. Well, probably the oldest road that we have would be 85th Street that was brand new in 2019. It was completed in 2019. So we're right at that 5-year mark. So we're really not that far behind. All the other overlay roads, we're within that mark still.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Damn,
I don't think I was next.
Clint.
You're gonna have to refresh my memory, but there is a neighboring town, I want to say Park City, that had a lot of difficulty with a company doing their roads, and another company had to come in. Are you guys familiar with that at all? Have you heard anything about that? I just wanted to make sure that these weren't those same companies.
Bel Air. I think you're talking about Bel Air.
Bel Air. Okay, and these are not, okay. So I just want to,
No, yes, Pearson is that company
that came in and
that had the issues. with every city, every project, and Councilmember Sam, I'm sure he can attest to that with his professional hat being in Derby. A lot of times, it ultimately comes down to your base. It's just like anything in an organizational structure, even our city. I mean, without our base, without our incredible city employees that we have, I mean, we won't be able to sit up here and brag about all the amazing things happening in Valley Center. A roadway is no different. If you don't have a proper base set down underneath your roadway, and it's not properly tested, and there's not, and I'm not saying it wasn't properly tested, but if you don't have a good base underneath there, you can put the Cadillac of roads on top of it, and it will fail. It will absolutely 100%, 100 out of 100 times fail quicker than having a great base underneath your roadway. This one I'm not concerned with. You have to remember Pearson is actually doing our Meridian project. That was a huge concern for us going into that. The Bel Air project was an asphalt road. The base, the soils are completely different, even in Bel Air, than they are Valley Center. And so, those are things that, we task, these engineers with, making sure that they cover, and especially Samantha, when they're doing the construction administration, the inspections, the testing. That's why we spend $130,000 in doing that. Well, those reports actually, they mean something. You're supposed to read them and analyze them and make critical decisions so that making sure that you don't have failures. That's why, we proceeded forward with Meridians as an all concrete road, especially, going through KDOT and only being able to bid it one way or another, couldn't bid it both ways. And Pearson came out on top, but you also have to realize when you drive down the interstate, who's doing the road work? Who's doing the bridges? Who's doing that right now in Wichita? It's Pearson. And so every contractor has bad projects. Not necessarily means that contractor is a bad contractor. There's a lot of variables that go into road work. This is, these are mill and overlays. These are millings. In a few sections, of course, we're going to put down base. Rodney and his crew are going to make sure to inspect that and make sure that they have good solid base. That's why we have Ron Ekstrom, who's been here since before dirt, to make sure that those bases are set where they need to be in those cul-de-sacs. And so I'm confident that Pearson will do a good job for us. Pearson did Sunflower Valley. That has had zero issues. I mean, any issues that have come up, they've taken care of and covered. And that's why we also look at every inch and every surface when we do projects. I mean, ask these two that have walked out on job sites, and Rodney too. I mean, we look at it. I mean, I look at it with a magnifying glass. And let me tell you, those punch lists at the 1 year, 2 year mark are long. And there's a reason for that. And so, credit to Rodney and his staff for making sure that, we have good bases underneath of our roadways, not only the new ones, but also the existing ones.
Appreciate it.
And he's absolutely correct with the bases. That's the large reason why we were taking that chip seal off and decided on that other than a maintenance, because you had no base. Wouldn't matter what you put on top of there, it would fail. You didn't put a good solid base in there. But Mr. Stam said the difference between concrete without a base and concrete with a base, like on a house, that concrete set on a foundation that's set way down. Right to the foundation, which is your base. So he is absolutely correct.
Appreciate it.
My question is regarding, so we got rid of the slurry seal. Let me back up a second. So Pearson had the original low bid, and then we renegotiated with Pearson only to remove the slurry seal.
Yes.
Because based off of the numbers, if APAC,
so the original,
if APAC would have had the same bid or same parameters, they probably would have still come in higher.
yeah, their unit prices were
Okay.
quite a bit off. And with the original bids, before the negotiation, there was still $141,602 difference.
Okay.
Yes.
I just
Yes.
want the transparency.
And yes, and the other portion was, I will like to note that APAC didn't even bid the curb and gutter at all.
Oh, that sucks. Thank you. Motion to award the negotiated proposal for the 2024 roadway upgrade services of the selected street segments to Pearson Construction in the amount of Oh, you got too many periods in that. $480,628.
Second.
Yeah.
Have a motion and second to award the roadway services 2024 contract. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Okay, moving on to the contract extension cut rate lawn care.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. This is the contract extension with Cut Rates Lawn Service. We approved the original contract back in 2021, and there was a couple of things I'll bring to your attention. I noticed on the contract that didn't get edited out when I was updating this. On the second page, the third bullet point down, that should be omitted, that paragraph. And on the fourth bullet, it needed to be updated to 2024. I apologize for those errors in there, but this has been a typical practice for the last several years to just negotiate with the contractor that has awarded the bid in years past and negotiate different packages as different things have, with them, as things have evolved, I guess, with the contractor. As we see benefit with contracting out services for the year or where we need to pull those back in. But this is a proposal for both parks and public buildings mowing and some mowing for public works as well. So, stand for any questions you might have. I assume Councilmember Anderson, you might have a couple. So.
Mr. Owings, the reason I wanted to pull this out of consent agenda was just to clarify things, so that our residents understood. We do this because you have more work than you have workers, and we can't keep up with that, correct?
Yes.
And unless we add workers for you, this is the stopgap that we have come up with to be able to keep up with our maintenance.
It is. In a lot of cases, we get comments about hire seasonal staff. Well, this is a better option for us. And we did run quite a few numbers to analyze. We actually had Chris Porter from Cut Rates quote all of our properties this year. He went through a little more in-depth process looking at which properties would make the most sense if we were looking at adding some additional ones. And these additional properties, City Hall, Veterans Park, and adding the Lions Park to that mix made sense dollars and cents wise when we crunched the numbers. So other parks, not as lucrative for us. So we did look at that as a part of our methodology. But yes, adding these services does help us complete our.
And I've been on council long enough. Every year we've heard how difficult it has been for you to hire seasonal help, and then once you had somebody, we've had them flake out, and that leaves the stress on your other employees. And I think this is a great solution to that, and that was the reason I pulled it out. It wasn't that I was questioning anything. I just wanted to make sure everyone understood why we were doing it, and
absolutely, I appreciate it.
That we can keep a maintenance on our parks. And so
I love it because it's great for transparency's sake, and it helps citizenry understand why we're not mowing some of those ourselves. We're getting some additional. So.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Questions? Matt?
Was there a reason Chris didn't bid on it the first time we had to extend it? Did he not know about it, or?
Separate.
Oh, that's separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this one is the one that we bid out 2 years ago, 2021. And so we just renegotiate instead of going out with RFPs every year, because it takes a lot of time, for staff to do those things. So this is just negotiating, for next year, and then we'll do this, but then we'll bid it out in 5 years.
I haven't had supper yet. I'm a little delirious.
Neil, is our total for this the $30,315?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I move to approve the mowing contract with Cut Rate Lawn Care for $30,315.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the extended contract with Cut Rate Lawn Care. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Staff reports. Right.
Good evening again. Just very quickly wanted to thank all of the volunteers and staff that helped make this year's home show booth a success. So thanks to,
I forgot to sign up.
it's okay. Well, I'll catch you next year. Councilmember Stam, thank you. But again, the booth went well. Thanks to all the volunteers. We handed out a lot of gift bags. We did our gift basket drawing. So in case you haven't seen, we did our Facebook Live video last week. So check us out on Facebook so you can see who the lucky winner was of this year's gift basket. But again, thanks to everyone that helped with this year's show. And I wish everyone a happy Easter. Thank you.
Neil? Wait. Rodney?
Good evening. Christy was so kind to send you, it's a very involved explanation of a couple of the processes that we went through on the meridians. Along with that, I would like to note that we only had to use 2 of those inserted valves, which resulted in that bill coming in at $22,500 less. We were able to get it done with only 2 of those valves. And then, as Brent says, in every project you run into hiccups and speed bumps. Well, today we ran into them. So on the Meridian project, they switched the northbound traffic over to the west side. Proportionate, a little at a time. By the time it was all done today, it caused the traffic lights at 5th and Meridian to function differently. So they're switching pretty quick. Brent and I stopped there. We were trying to move some things, trying to make it work right. I have a call into Gades to come out. They're supposed to call me back, get out here as soon as we can to see if we can't just change them all the way over where the cameras don't even have an effect anymore. Just all be timing. It has to do with that. You're running northbound in a southbound lane and that camera, I don't think is detecting things correctly. So tomorrow morning could be a difficult time if we don't get out there before then. So I just wanted to lay that out there. And I have the manuals for those traffic signals on my desk at this very moment. I was reading them before we came here. And if any one of you up there could help me understand that, I would appreciate that. Because them things read, they're awesome.
Wait, can we possibly get some help up there just in case? Okay.
I would, Brent does have a copy of that PDF with the pictures in there available. I would stand for some questions if there are some questions on any part of that. If not, hopefully it was pretty self-explanatory.
I'm going to jump on this. So my concern from your report from 2 weeks ago is you tried to shut this water off with 30 plus different other valves.
Yes, we did.
Now we added 2 more valves to this conundrum. We need to figure this out because this is ridiculous. We can't have 30 valves sitting in the ground and none of them are working, or we don't know for sure that they're working. Then why do we have 30 plus valves in the ground?
Okay, these are on that's a very good concern.
Mm-hmm.
These are on very old lines, the ones that we were having a lot of trouble with, and ones that we are not sure about were the ones on these old cast iron lines. Sometimes these valves, they actually run down into a seat and they can have debris in them. I'm not trying to make excuses. They're just very, very old valves. We need to get a good valve exercising program going.
Yeah, that's concerning.
Yeah, it was.
That's
We've
very
encountered it. Brent,
I'm
with this on water leaks before. We've encountered it.
I know. I'm just concerned that if you actually do have a rupture somewhere
frustrating.
along that street, how are we going to shut it down? I mean, if those valves aren't working properly, yeah. And I'm like you, I know you were trying to not cut off as much service to houses as you could, but my gosh, with what we just spent, we should have shut down the whole 5 blocks if we could have, to save some money for this city. That's a ridiculous price. $22,000 a valve, that's ridiculous.
Okay, the ones on the 10 is to clarify, more 22,000 feet.
Okay. But I'm talking about the 2 that we did install.
Yes, they were,
Yeah.
yes, they were
Yes.
still very high.
Yes.
But
But it's because the other 30 valves were not working.
Yes.
Okay. That's my concern. So,
You are correct.
just concerns for the future.
Keeps me awake at night.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You bet. Anything else?
I think we're good, Ronnie. Thank you. Gage? Barry? Christie? Yeah. Oh, we do have something.
We have made a conditional offer for the utility billing clerk, and once she goes through all the processes, hopefully by the 1st of April, she will be here and ready to go.
Thank you.
Just realized getting up here, I forgot to look at my birthday list. One of you might get away. So I know, it's a late night, but real quick, did want to touch, I do apologize. I was gone last meeting. I know we had discussed bringing up, a little quick report on the TIP district. And so I did want to bring everybody up to speed on kind of what's going on out in the TIP district area. As you approved earlier this evening, was the contract and the construction award for 44 lots down here in Prairie Lakes. That is in the TIP district. Currently in the phase 3, 24 lots is what that opened up in the TIP district. I believe we have received so far 14 permits for homes in there. So of course, again, in the TIP district, tax incremental finance, what happens is we froze the property taxes in this district. So everything that was getting collected below that is still getting collected, still getting allocated out to the proper mill levies. It's the incremental increase that we're capturing to then pay for the TIF bonds. We temp noted these TIF bonds, and so we have not rolled into permanent financing. Those TIF bonds are getting callable or called on later on this year. And so we're going to kind of gauge to see where we're at financially, if we're going to roll those into another temp note or permanent financing, depending upon when the rates are. But that incremental increase is what then covers the expenses that we're incurring on this dirt project. Again, just want to remind you all, we're in about a 20-month delay, just working through some core issues with permitting. We have now achieved our end goal. And so if you've driven out there in the last day or two, yesterday I almost had a stroke. I left for work and then came home during lunch and the whole northern levee was down like 700 feet. I was like, oh, wow, that really took no time. Now, if you drive out there, I know it's dark, but if you drive out there tomorrow when it's light out, the south side all the way is gone. And so progress is moving quick now, which we absolutely need. So that is, why we've held off on awarding the Seneca Road project. Yes, we approved the contract for the design, but that's why it's not constructed yet. In the original plan and agreement, we're supposed to be under construction right now as I was standing here. And so, that was delayed. Nothing that's, not, doable, taking a pause once in a while, there's nothing wrong with that. And so I did want to give you an update, as far as Prairie Lakes. And then also too, the park in the middle, of course, we've been working with the Park and Public Buildings Committee on the park itself, letting them know that, hey, you're going to have to start getting your design ready for the disc golf course. We still have $1 million set aside for the park itself, which is in the entire TIP district, and the agreements that were made, with the developers. Also, too, I'm glad to say, as of last week, and so I'm kind of glad I didn't get this the last meeting, because as of the end of last week, there is an active negotiation happening to actually sell all of Trails End to a builder that's going to come in and build the whole thing out. Is going to take all 147 lots and start building as soon as the dirt work and it's out of the floodplain. And so you're going to see a lot of things moving very, very quickly now in the TIP district area itself, which is really exciting. This project is delayed, but sometimes patience is a good thing as well. So I know that the landowner is working with the realtors right now on negotiations when it comes to that. So as soon as that starts, they do plan to, I guess they already have bank financing and they're ready to go and build that out as quickly as possible, which we absolutely need for the TIP district to financially pan out. Any questions real quick on the TIP district? Yes.
The part you were just talking about is the yellow area, not the
That's
pink.
Trails End. Yep.
Okay. We have so many developments going on right now, it's hard to keep track of all the names.
It's exciting.
It gets confusing. But that's why I was asking to clarify that
We left off the specials for Harvest Place, which is coming up next meeting.
Thank you.
Yep.
Brent, real quick, roll your map back down. I'm going to go back and listen, but I could have swore I heard Mr. Voss say that these roads were not connected to that other addition, but they are connected, correct?
No. So the phase 4 is coming off of Seneca Street.
Okay.
And then it's not connecting to the ones to the west. And so it includes this area here to the north.
Okay.
The cul-de-sacs are.
Okay.
But it's not connecting all the way yet to Appleton.
Okay.
That's the next phase.
Next phase. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Phase 6.
6. Okay.
So
two more phases.
I don't need to phase that much. Sorry. But those houses, I will say on Gatewood, they're selling. I mean, they're selling quick, and so that's why they're turning over those building permits a little quicker than they anticipate because they're filling up.
Excellent. Thank you.
Oh, sure.
Okay, let me see. Any updates? Already talked about Meridian. The Valley Center Rec and Aquatic Center, of course. The Chamber of Commerce, if anybody's available tomorrow during the lunch, we're going to actually do a tour of the current construction. So if you're available, and maybe Neil mentioned this, you can absolutely join us during the Chamber lunch, have a meal thanks to McCown Gordon Construction. So they're going to showcase kind of what they have to date. And then, of course, bring everybody back out when everything's all done and have the Chamber see it then as well. So if you haven't driven by, which I'm sure most of you have, there's a small structure that has come up out of the ground.
Ron?
This is change the subject a little bit. I wanted to ask you, did you get the flag taken care of? Because I don't want to get any more.
Yes, the flag in Veterans Park, I believe, between our two departments, that has been handled and addressed.
Thank you.
Oh, we got it. Thank you. Let's see. Moving on to governing body reports. I worked the home show. I think it was very well done. Lots of turnout. Lots more questions about our housing areas than I thought there would be, really. I passed out several packets to builders. I went personally and talked to builders that were set up booths there. And I had a couple of their clients come back and look at the maps. So I think it's pretty profitable. So I thank you for setting that up. I don't have anything else. Yeah, Ron.
Yeah, the only thing I have is remember that the 3 weeks on legislative material that the state is, will be available to answer any questions on that there. And there's some articles that's come out that you may want to pay attention to. If you hear words like RHI, I believe that was 835, and a couple other ones that's going to affect long-term housing possibility problems for taxes, homeless taxes, yeah. Go ahead.
Robert?
What would you like me to elaborate on?
What we talked about. So.
Oh, okay. Yep. And so the RHID or Rural Housing Improvement Districts, very similar to what TIFs are, kind of a Cliff Note version of it. You know, in a TIF district, there's certain requirements that you have to meet. RHID kind of relaxes those and kind of makes it more just a but for instead of some other the requirements. Captures the difference in the incremental increase in property taxes. So it takes off the tax rolls for 20, 25 years. And then, lets the developer then put in the roads, infrastructure, and those things instead of doing specials. And it allows them to do, infrastructure financing a little different way. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to it, just like there is everything. And the other one is, if I recall correctly, of course, has to do with property taxes, having the 10-year average for valuations that are market value. Of course, that hinders growth. Also, captures potentially capping at 4% annual growth for a community, which would be devastating. I mean, it would crush us. Last year, we were over 9%. That's where we're basing all of our figures and facts on when it comes to our debt service load and everything that operates the city. We collect very minimal property taxes when it comes to our total generated revenue when you look at the budget. And I won't go into all the great details, but some really, you can tell in Topeka that a lot of those folks have never actually worked in the municipal or local government in any way, shape, or form and don't even understand what a mill levy actually is or how it's created. And so I could go on for a little while on that, but I will bite my tongue.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you doing that. Other than that, I don't want to think.
Robert?
I'm good tonight, Mayor.
Nothing for me.
Yeah?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Gina?
I have nothing.
Dale?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. Opposed? Same sign. We're adjourned.